Yeah, good morning. We are doing the Bhagavad Gita. We had completed till verse 13 from chapter 2. So today we will be continuing from verse 14 onwards. But just before we continue with verse 14, let me just give you a small brief of what we did last time. Shri Krishna is telling Arjuna that he is a wise man and he is a learned person. That means he has knowledge. See, when Sri Krishna tells these words, is he saying these words to any other person? No. Sri Krishna doesn't say these words to Yudhishthir or Bhim or Duryodhan, nobody. Not Bhishma also. He's not saying any of these words to any of these characters. But he says these words to Arjuna. So doesn't that tell you that Arjuna has far greater knowledge than any of these other people put together? See, the idea that knowledge exists within a person. But how many actually get to implement it? There are great people like Dronacharya or Bhishma Pitama who are supposed to have the highest of the knowledge. But they are not implementing it. They have taken the side of Kauravas, which is not a done thing. So after you have knowledge, you should never ever consider yourself unrighteous, because the unrighteous part within us actually exists. Our job is not to get involved in that unrighteous part. There are lots of pros and cons in it. Let me give you. Bhishma Pitama can come up with 1,000 answers. Why he is taking Kaurava's side. Anybody who does an unrighteous person, suppose, let us say there is a young man who gives bribes to get some work done. What is the first thing that he will say after he has given the bribe? It's inevitable, I had to do it. So, this is something which we need to understand. Why should a person do some unrighteous act? So, Krishna is telling Arjuna, so far you have not done any unrighteous acts. So far. So, you are a wise man, you are a leader amongst men, and you have a lot of knowledge and intelligence. So, you have to use it today. So now let us continue from verse 14 onwards. We are doing Bhagavad Gita chapter 2 verse 14. O son of Kunti, the contact between the senses and the objects, which gives rise to the feeling of heat and cold, pleasure and pain, etc., are transitory and fleeting. Therefore, Arjuna, endure them. Now here Sri Krishna is giving a very, very sagacious advice. He is telling Arjuna that the moment you are in front of any object for that matter, your senses are going to reach out to that object. When the senses reach out to that object, the object can taint you. If the object and your senses are getting tainted, you are going to commit the biggest, the gravest of the sins. You will fall into the clutch of destiny, karma, both these things put together. So it is important not to fall into it. So if you see an object, let us say for example, you are sitting in a restaurant, and you see a 500 rupee note lying somewhere at the corner of the table, somewhere at the side. What is your immediate reaction? You will look around, nobody is seeing me, and then you will take it and pocket it. Or you may have good sense. You may say that somebody who was sitting over here earlier must have dropped it. Maybe you will go and give it to the person who is sitting on the galla, that is the cashier over there, and say, oh, I found this 500 rupee note. You can do any of these things. But what is the first thing that you would do? This is where the object comes in contact with the senses. So is it good or is it bad? This is something nobody can understand. And that is the reason why Shri Krishna is telling that when you are in contact with the senses and the objects, it gives rise to the feeling of heat and cold, pleasure and pain, etc. All this is there. It happens only at that precise moment. Thereafter, what happens? Once you have done the kritya, whatever thing that you are supposed to do, after that, then you may have a problem in your life. See, this is where he is telling you, these are transitory and fleeting. Everything is momentary. It comes and it goes. It comes and it goes. It comes and it goes. These are transitory things. I want you to think about it. Say, yesterday you may be having a great problem. It could be a financial problem or it could be any problem. It could be an emotional issue. It could be environmental. Maybe there was a lot of pollution. God knows. You can have any kind of a problem. Does that problem exist today? No, it is not there. There was such a huge problem last 3 years. Coronavirus. Do you even think about it today? It is only in the newspapers or places where you see, okay, you got to put a mask. So at that time you say, oh, there was coronavirus. But today you are not even scared about it. Nobody is scared of coronavirus anymore. They say it's a common thing. It happens. Likewise, let us say, for example, you have gone through a very big heartbreak, your maybe your spouse or maybe your boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever might have dumped you or you might have dumped them. We don't know. And you know what happens? At that moment in time, you are going through hell. You may continue it for a few days also. You may continue it for a month. But after that, there's nothing there. No problem at all. That person has gone away and you have gone away in another direction. Likewise, death. Death is something that happens to everybody. Maybe someone very close to you dies. Someone very close. And then what happens? You cry. You become upset. You become angry. Why did God do this to me? A few days later, it's gone. You are no longer crying. You are back to your happy old self, whatever you were doing. Maybe you were, going to work. You will go to work. Same thing. You look at a pregnant lady. till she delivers, there's a different scene. After she delivers, there's a different scene. After the child grows up, there is a different scene. Altogether different. Nothing is real. It is all transitory. It comes, goes, comes, goes, comes, goes, comes, goes. But we feel, oh my God, it is so huge. I don't know what I'm going to do. This is a part of everybody's life. And Shri Krishna is telling Arjuna, this is what is happening to you. Today there is a war. You are getting upset because there is a war over there and you have to fight some people. You may kill some people. You may get killed yourself. Something is going to happen. And yet, you are making, a mountain out of the molehill. Life has been given so that you can smoothly glide through it. You keep on going every day. Live every day one at a time. Whatever comes, face it, go to the next. Face it, go to the next. Face it, go to the next. This is what you are supposed to do. And not keep on harping on it. Oh, in the year 1947, there was a great world war or some nonsense that you can think of. What is it? Kargil war, this war, that war, Afghanistan war, God knows, Vietnam happened. People live in that moment and they keep on talking about it all day long. You're going to get fed up of it. All these old foggies who are there, I am also one of them. We love to talk about our past. In the 60s and the 70s, those were the times. And today is not the time. It's dead and gone, it's gone, finished. Move on. And this is what Krishna is telling Arjuna. Endure them. Your job is to endure whatever it is. It can be hot or cold, bad or good, happiness or even sadness. It does not matter. Endure those things. It's only a temporary phase. You have a toothache. Does the toothache last you for entire lifetime? No, it doesn't. Some people believe they have a toothache which is called marriage. It lasts them an entire lifetime. Well, that is the way of looking at it. But you have to endure that person. Your own spouse you have to endure. It's a toothache. So, it's a joke, okay? So, do you understand? This is what Krishna says. You have to endure these things. And don't get carried away by it just because it is painful. Okay? So now let us move to the next verse. Verse 15, chapter 2, Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna, the wise man to whom pain and pleasure are alike and who is not tormented by contacts becomes eligible for immortality. If you are not going to be tormented, that means if something bad happens or something good happens, there is heat and there is cold. Anything can say. People can come and say anything to you. People have the habit of talking utter nonsense sometimes. Sometimes people love to come and praise you. You are the greatest, you did this, blah, 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 all those things. Don't get carried away by both these sentences. Because if you get carried away, you are a petty human being. You can never rise in anywhere in this world or in the afterlife also. You can never rise there. Let me tell you. There is a very fine reason why it happens. I will give you only a few lines to it. I don't want to go into the depth of it right now because we will come to it later on also. If you are not able to endure it, and if you get carried away by whatever is happening, let us say you have a terrible emotional issue. It can be a problem connected to your girlfriend, boyfriend, your spouse or whoever concerned. Let us say it's a problem which is very bad right now. Let us say it's your spouse. And you just keep on going at it, and the other person also keeps on going at it. And maybe one day it blows up beyond proportions. And then you have a breakup. Maybe you go in for a divorce or something like that. And when you go in for a divorce, you keep on thinking about this person, that this person was so bad, he was the worst in this world, she was the worst in this world, she did this to me, he did that to me. You keep on at it constantly. And then what happens? Whatever bad that you say about this person, or whatever good that you say, it is going to get converted into karma. You are still carrying the remnants of that relationship if you continue at it. If you keep on thinking about it, if you keep on dwelling on that subject matter and saying that this is what should not have happened, that person was such a bad person, blah, 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 all that. Your karma continues as per the law of karma. You will have to meet this person whom you hate from the bottom of your heart in the next life as well. And the next one also. And the next one also. If that person was a villain in your life, why would you want that person to continue in your next one and the next one and the next one and hereafter? The more you dwell on it, the more you keep on cursing that person, or the more you think about the kind of atrocities that person might have done, you are committing more and more karmas. These karmas are going to continue forever in your lifetime. And that is going to be very detrimental to you. So please don't get into it. Alright? And that is the reason why Krishna says, the wise man to whom pain and pleasure are alike, and who is not tormented by the contact, becomes eligible for immortality. If you are not thinking about that subject, think. If you are not even dwelling on the subject, if you are not getting carried away by what has happened, there are no karmas happening. There is absolutely no setback for you. You are not going to get trapped in it because you have stopped dwelling on this subject. And if you stop dwelling on this subject, then you are free. There is no question of rebirth. Did I not tell you that you will keep on meeting this person again and again and again and again, continued on for your lifetime, because you have just kept on dwelling on the subject? Here, if you don't dwell on the subject, don't bother about it, it doesn't affect you whether it is good or bad, nothing, none of these things affect you. You are going to be free from rebirths and meeting this person especially. Why should you meet? Let us say, another example. If you are taking a flight, you go to the airport. At the airport, many a times it so happens that the person who is taking your, booking your ticket or whatever that they are doing, maybe giving you a seat or something like that, those people are extremely rude. Though the airline people should be nice, but the person it turns out to be a very rude person. And he or she gives you a seat which is right in the corner, somewhere in the middle, in between a crying child and another person. And the entire flight, which could be 6 hours, 8 hours long, the child keeps on bawling away, like that throughout your flight, Throughout your flight, and after the flight also, you'll keep on thinking, I want to murder that person. She gave me this ticket. She knew very well that there is a child over here. Such a villainous person. And you keep on dwelling on that subject. Do you really think this is not going to get a payback from your side? Of course. This is what happens. You keep on dwelling on a subject, it's going to continue in your further life because you may not meet that same person again, isn't it? You're not going to meet that child, you're not going to meet that lady, you're not going to meet anybody, but it continues as a karma because karma has to be repaid back to the same person. If the karma happens with X, you have to repay it back to X. You cannot repay it back to Y. Got the answer? So here Shri Krishna gives a very clear understanding that you have to have equanimity of mind and not get carried away by these kind of things. And when that happens to you, you can get immortality because you are not getting into that. Not getting swayed by whatever emotions that are there. Not even getting attached to what is happening. Okay, I hope you understand this verse and in your life you should learn to apply it. If you are going through hell right now, it is transitory. Remember, it is only going to be painful for a certain amount of time. After that, it will go away. Then another new hell is going to turn up. You think that is not going to happen? Of course, a bigger fire, a bigger hell, a bigger devil over there. Be ready for that, no. Why you want to fight the smaller devil? Don't. So, it is like that. People have this very funny idea. When they come to me, they will say, I have a very bad marriage. Or I had a very bad boyfriend or something like that. So I ask them, so now what? Oh, I want to get married again. Really? I want to get into another relationship because, I want to get married. I want to settle down in life. Oh, you haven't seen the end of it all. There is a bigger devil who is going to crop up in your life. Okay? And you won't even know that. You think people are very nice and kind and all that. The problem is not with them. The problem is with you. Remember this, the problem is not with them. The problem is with you. It is because you don't know how to handle it. What was the previous verse, what was the word used over there? Do you remember? Learn to endure it. The word is endure. Well, you are going to go through the worst in your life. Learn to endure it and don't give so much of credence to that. Don't even bother thinking about it. Anyway, that person is an idiot. What are you going to do? Learn to live with an idiot. What to do? So in relationships, I always say, a known devil is better than an unknown devil, isn't it? Don't you think so? So, if you really want to be in a relationship, continue with that idiot once again. Who is saying no? But, how do you know the new person is not going to be bad? So, there is no idea of knowing. So, why are you getting into it? So, the problem is yours. You should be able to not get swayed by emotion. Swayed as far as life is concerned. Things are going to be bad, things are going to be good, things are going to be worst also. Who knows? So just learn to endure them. So we move to the next verse. We are doing Bhagavad Gita chapter 2 verse 16. The unreal has no existence and the real never ceases to be. The reality of both has thus been perceived by the seers of truth. This is a very, very profound statement. It needs a lot of explanation. So let us try. The unreal. Unreal is temporary. What comes and goes is unreal. Alright? Think about it. Your tooth was aching. One day, maybe last week once it was aching. Now it is gone. Was it real? Of course it was real. I had such a toothache. Only at that time. After that, nothing happened. You were able to get out of it. So it is called unreal. The unreal doesn't exist. Doesn't exist permanently. Please remember this. It doesn't exist at all. It's a blip on the screen. It comes, goes, comes, goes. Things happen and they go away. But there is something which is called real. It is permanent with you. What is that permanent? The permanent is the self. The self which is there within you. It is permanent. It stays permanently with you. What is self? This is a question everybody wants to know. What is the self? If you say, your name is XYZ, which part of your body is XYZ? The eyes? No. Your hair? No. Your teeth? No. Your hands? Try saying it. Okay? Try saying. Suppose your name is Arjuna. Do you say this is Arjuna, or do you say these are the eyes of Arjuna? Arjuna's hair, Arjuna's teeth, Arjuna's hands. This is what you will say. So where is Arjuna? The self is that. Who is the self? Self is not the body. A body is just a bottle. It contains. The bottle contains water. It's an example. Okay? Otherwise tomorrow you will say, okay, I am containing. The bottle contains water. The body contains the self. But is that real? No. We have to think like that. We think because that's the only way you can do, isn't it? So this self which is there is permanent. What does it do before it got into your body? This body of yours, you are Mr. Arjuna. Now before it got into Arjuna's body, what was it? Where was it? Oh, before birth it means. Yes, of course, before birth. And after you die, after Arjuna is dead, where does this self go? This question you need to ask yourself. Because the self continues. How many lifetimes does it have? Many lifetimes. It keeps on going. When it keeps on going, it goes on forever. So the self is permanent. Goes on forever. Got the answer? It will take just now this body, then another one, then another one, then another one, then another one. Now let me give you the funny part of it. Do you remember me telling you that about your parents? This time you have your parents, and in the last time you were somebody else. Maybe you are a bee or a cockroach or an elephant or some. So you had elephant parents and cockroach parents and all that. You remember this? Exactly. In the same way, today you have a husband or a wife. In the next life, you are going to become a bird. Alright? You will get a body. A body is a bottle, remember this. A container of a bird. You will be flying high up there in the sky. Okay? Maybe the spouse of yours becomes a fish. You are not going to meet, you are not going to get married. No. The bird is not going to get married to a fish. But bird one day will swoop down and eat that fish. Got the answer? So it can happen like that. So the bird can swoop down and eat the fish. That can be the case. Then you are not going to get married. So the same person is not your husband or not your wife. So don't be under this impression that that person is going to continue. If you have some nonsense going on with that person, then you will definitely. Now you know why that bird ate that fish, no? Or no? Because in the last life that guy was eating her up. So it could be because of that. We don't know. There is some very big story behind it. We really should not get into it. Now let us come to this point where the self continues. After the bird eats the fish, what happens to that person, the fish? He goes away. It's a container. Somebody asked me, but you should be a vegetarian, not a non-vegetarian. Aha. If the container, if I eat the container, am I eating the soul? No, the self is not getting eaten up. So the fish is eaten by the bird. So is he a vegetarian or a non-vegetarian? You tell me. No way can you tell me the answer, because everybody is non-vegetarian, whether you like it or not. If you become a tiger or a lion in one of your life, you think you are going to eat grass? No way. We don't have any answers for that. So don't get into this, this whatever that your mind tells you. And so forget about it. Don't get into it. So it is the self which continues. And this is what Shri Krishna says. He says, the unreal has no existence and the real never ceases to be. The reality of both has been perceived by the seers of truth. The knowers of truth, the one who got enlightened, they see this. They are the ones who understand this. That is why they don't get into it. So they don't get carried away if they have to go and cut somebody's head off also. Okay? So if there is something to be done, they will do it without any qualms. If they have to do something, they will do it. It doesn't affect them. I hope you got the answer. So anyway, this is a long story because the self is going to get introduced many times in the future, and we will try to get some answers as we go along. So we have come to the end of verse 16. So I will stop over here. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Take care. Have a good day. Bye.